Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at how to monitor your training through the use of pacing zones. So in the last video we looked at heart rate training, now we're looking at pace zones, and then the video after this we're going to be looking at something called RPE, which I'll explain completely in the next video. So today in this video it's pace zones. So this can be particularly useful if you're new to running. But what you need to have is an effort over a distance where you've tried really hard. So once you've got that time, so you've got a 3K time, a 5K time, a 1 mile time, something like that, you can then plug this into a website. So the Runner's World have a training pace calculator, which the link will be underneath this video for you to access. You can type in the time it took you, the distance you did, and it will give you a calculation of the different pace zones or speeds that you could aim to do some of your training at. So it will give you an easy or long run suggested pace zone. It will give you a tempo run pace zone. It will give you VO2 max pace zone, which will seem really fast. It will give you a Yasso speed for 800s as well. All of those things, don't worry if they don't make any sense to you at the moment whatsoever. I will explain all of those terms later on in this program, in this particular module actually. So that's all going to be fine and cleared up for you. But yeah, you can have a look at, you can put all your information into the calculator online, and then it'll give you those zones that you can use. So like I said, it only really is quite accurate when you're using a time where you've tried really hard. Okay, if you've just ambled through a distance and then use those pace zones in that time, you'll find that everything is way too easy. So it needs to be based on either a race effort or a recent hard effort that you've done to be as accurate as possible. So using pace zones is good as a starting point. If you've got nothing else to go on, this can be quite helpful to give you an idea of the kind of levels of speed that you could try to work out for different types of workout. Can be a little bit overwhelming if you're not really sure what you're doing with this, and if you're constantly having to check your watch or your phone or a different device to monitor your pace. So this can be helpful if you're quite experienced, but it can also be quite helpful initially just to gauge whether or not this is a way that you want to try and monitor your training. It kind of falls down a little bit in not being able to tell you what pace to run intervals at, and again I'll explain that in a later video, or what kind of suggested fartlek workout speeds. It won't give you that either. So this is where you can get some input from a coach, or you can use the next method that we're going to be talking about, which is RPE. Also, pace zones can be really useful if you're really into your numbers and you like if you like that kind of hard and fast. Right, this is the zone I need to run at. I'm just going to go out and run at that zone. A few things to bear in mind about pace zones is initially that they are completely relevant to you, so they're unique in that respect, but they only take into account consideration the time that you ran a particular distance in. So if that's accurate, that is all well and good, but it won't take into account your age, your weight, your height, your experience in running, how much mileage you've done leading up to that particular workout, any health conditions you've got, asthma. It also won't take into account when in the day you're training. If you find it easier to train at one time than another, that obviously might have effect on whether or not you're going to hit those particular paces for that workout. And also it doesn't take into account the terrain that you're running on. So ideally flat tarmac in a nice straight line would be perfect, but quite a lot of us haven't got access to decent lengths of that. So it might be gravel that you're running on, or farmers fields or something like that. So you also need to think about the fact that you might need to adjust the paces based on the terrain that you're running in, or Also thinking about the weather conditions, you know, if you're running into a headwind, that can obviously knock you back in terms of pace. So then you might find that the pace zone suggested is way too fast for the conditions you're trying to run in. And obviously that can then potentially be unsafe or could end up causing injury because you're always trying too hard for your level of fitness. So it's something to bear that in mind as well. Also, you just need to be aware that you won't always be able to stick rigidly to those paces for some of the reasons I've just mentioned. But also, some days you're just either going to be completely washed out, have no energy, have nothing in your legs for whatever reason, and those pace zones are going to kind of go out the window a little bit. So if you're not mindful of that, using pace zones can end up being more of a stick that you hit yourself with rather than a carrot of motivating you to want to work at certain speeds. So it's worthwhile just thinking quite, stepping back and thinking about that in a sensible way rather than just trying to stick rigidly to any particular paces. So pace zones can be really useful. They're a good guide, but it's worth just considering the different factors that might impinge on your ability to hit those particular paces in any given day for any given workout. Okay, so I'll see you on the next video.